Hello, how are we? An odd place to start, but there is a reason. This week we are titling things Getting Our Lives, My Life, Back Together. Things are in shambles. I don't know how much can be seen in the way of my life here, but it's a lot. It's all just a lot. My husband is currently sick, but so he just feels miserable. The house is feeling miserable. My mind is feeling chaotic. Not miserable. I'm feeling much better than the last time we seen each other. Lots of things need to happen. Lots of stuff needs to be cleaned. Laundry needs to be done. Food needs to be made. People need to be kept alive. But also things need to be read. I had the idea for this because why I'm putting in all of this stuff as well. If you like seeing cleaning montages and all of that, this is for you. But this week I had already planned to do catching up on my reading. There's a few books that I'm in the middle of that I was reading before I started making videos again. And then when I started making videos at the beginning of August, I had to stop said books so I could begin onto those challenges. So these books are Survive the Night by Riley Sager, The Heart Principle by Helen Wong. I am listening to The Accidental Beauty Queen. My audiobook ran out, and with that Libby disaster I talked about last week, I had to re-put it on hold, and it says it's not available for 3 weeks. So hopefully it will come in faster so I can finish that. Now, if you watched last week, you understand why I said there was a chance for me to still read Thunderhead. And I am farther along in these than I thought. In The Heart Principle, I did read a chapter last night. I was at like page 180. Now I'm at page 203, but I'm over halfway. Let's see, I have 130 pages left of this one. Survive the Night. It's a little bit slower, but I am about almost halfway, maybe a third. A little over like 200 pages left here. And then I have a ton of Thunderhead if I get to that. But anyway, so I'm hoping knock these out pretty dang fast. They are both red. How funny. But yes, these are plans. And my plan is just to clean this mess of my life. Feel a bit put back together. So cue the life montages. Apparently my child is very hot. This is my husband's dinner. My battery's gonna die. You don't want to know what I had for dinner because it was a very weird thing and people will think I'm really gross. But anyways, before my camera dies, simple dinner. Right, we are now on to Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I got about, I told you earlier, what did I say? 100 and something pages in before I had to stop. And honestly, like most of the reviews coming in, I'm just not a huge fan so far. So I don't know, I can't remember if I've talked about this somewhere else in a video, but honestly, I am not like a lot of the people who read Riley Sager. I don't love every single thing he's ever written. I thought that Lock Every Door was not that great. I did not find it that interesting. I found it kind of weird and, like, I don't know. I was expecting something mind blowing because everybody was saying that that was their favorite Riley Sager and all this stuff. And I was just like, no. There was a couple, like, moments where I felt a little twinge of not fear, but like that thriller feeling, but nothing crazy. Like I read much, much better. That was the first of his I ever read. And then I read The Last Time I Lied, and I really liked that one. I found that one really good. And I don't know if it's because I buddy read it with a friend and we were just like back and forth on Marco Polo the entire time we read it, just like talking about it. And like that was probably the most I've been like interactive in a book with somebody. And it's fun to hear other people's predictions and ideas as they read like what they're thinking. So maybe that was part of it. And then I did his last one. I liked that one as well. That one was probably, I don't know. I really liked the storyline and the twists in that one. It's hard to say which one was my favorite. Anyways, but so then going now into Survive the Night and everybody saying that they hated it, I was like, well, that probably means I'm really gonna hate it. About to the point where I stopped, it was just so boring. And it's giving me like thriller blue balls, honestly. This chick, everyone has already said it. I am not the first to say it, but the fact of that this girl is so dumb. Dumb in the fact of like she's saying what she should do and then she doesn't. And then she just keeps putting herself in these situations. And it just keeps being like, you think she's gonna do it? And then she doesn't. And they're just like, no one would be this stupid. Nobody would be thinking this way. No one would do this. And so it just gets pretty frustrating, to say the least. Hopefully, maybe it will redeem itself. We shall see. I have some hope. And it's done. I did it. Things got interesting, that is for sure. Like I said before I started, I'm not gonna hold that up the whole time. I was not loving it. I found the beginning half to be like a 2-star. So boring. One of the things that I found really hard was like, we just kept being in her mind in the sense of like, see, it's hard for me to remember because it's been a couple months since I read that part. But it was like she kept just like repeating the same thoughts over and over and over and like just going back to the end. It was just like, okay, like we get it. We understand. It was like we just kept hearing about Maddie, about the boyfriend, over and over and over. Like the same things. Like, and it wasn't even like, I get it's fine if you're gonna think about the same thing for a long time and you want to make a point, but it wasn't saying anything new. It was just literally the same things, just repeated over and over and over and over and over. And I was just like, this is so repetitive, it's so boring. And then, like I said, the other hard part is just like what everyone else is talking about, where there's so many opportunities she has to get out of this car or do something different or save herself or whatever. And it's like, I get it, it's a book, obviously, but it's like, don't make the thing so obvious that everyone's literally just like, if that makes any sense. I don't know if any of this makes sense. If you've read it, you totally, I think, understand what I'm saying. And also, then my mind was blown. I am one of the anomalies, the few that actually I loved the second half. I loved the ending. I predicted a lot of it, but I love Riley Sager's twists because it's just like a twist after, like it's a twist that just keeps going and it just keeps giving. And like it just gets me. I find his books a lot of times, again, people love to point out like, oh, this is so unrealistic, that never would have happened. Okay, so it was still super entertaining. I still had a really fun time. I really loved it. The very, very end, what is it that they call it? I love how like the chapters are set up like scenes and stuff, how that's done. So it's not the credits, because I also found it very fun how he said the end credits, and I thought it was like the book continued, and I kept reading. I was like, oh, it's his like he's giving his thanks to everybody. I thought that was really clever. The before that, like the epilogue, essentially, that's not what it's called. I can't remember what he called it in the thing. Anyways, I had to go, like I was reading it, and then when I realized what I was reading, I had to go back and read it. I was like, okay, because I got to talk about this. The fact that the book wasn't even real. I mean, it was real, but like she said, like that isn't even how it all happened. It was a fictional, this book is fiction about a girl's story that you think you're just reading a fictional story, but it's actually you're reading the movie that she's watching of the fictional movie of the real life thing that happened to this fictional person. Allow me to translate. Essentially, that we're just reading the movie of what happened to her, not the actual real story. Sorry, that was so hard for me to say. You get it? Like, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna watch Kayla's live show for this and just see if anyone like says these things, because there are things in this book. This is not his best. This is not my favorite Riley Sager, but there are things in this that I thought were very clever, and the way that it ended and what I just spoiled, if you haven't read it yet, I've never seen anything done like that. I thought it was great. I thought there was some really, really fun stuff in here. So I gave it a 4 stars. Technically a 3.75, but on Goodreads I gave it a 4. And I don't regret it. It might even be that as time goes on, it is an actual 4. And I don't feel bad about it. I think it's one of these situations where it's like the general population, like when, I hear a lot of people that this happens. The general population either loves or hates it, and you're like, well, I was the exact opposite. The ones that they seem to love are my least favorite, and the ones that I love are the least favorites. We do have some mutual opinions, though, as well. I know that lots of people really loved The Last Time I Lied, which I really loved as well. I have not read his first, The Final Girls. I need to get my hands on that one, because now that is the only Riley Sager I have not read. So, there we go. Let's watch the live show, shall we? Okay, I watched it. And I would highly suggest, if you have read it and you haven't watched Kayla's live show of it, there's also Gabby and her mom and her sister did one as well. I might go and watch that one, but I don't know. I think I've gotten everything that I need, but it was very interesting getting perspectives of people who liked it and those who didn't, and just like some things, and just there was some really good points made. They did talk about the ending that I spoiled, that I loved, and yeah. I didn't realize until Kayla said it in that, though, that a lot of people didn't understand it. Like she said, they all listened to the audiobook, and I physically read it, and so you can see in the physical book, because it's like all italicized and you can tell it's like something different. But I guess, yeah, listening to it on the audiobook, it would be hard to maybe decipher really what's happening. But that, again, so they all said that, like, that bumped him up a star just by that. I thought it was so great and so cool. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say about it. I love it. Yeah. So, as you just seen, I finished listening to The Accidental Beauty Queen by Terry Wilson. This is like a 2. I'm not too surprised by that. I thought about maybe giving it a 3. I will probably put a 2 on Goodreads, but it's probably like a 2.5. It's not like horrible. It's just pretty dang boring, predictable, unexciting. Thankfully, it was very short. Just like I didn't find the characters to be interesting or have any depth. Basically, what it is like these 2 identical twin sisters. One is this Harry Potter loving librarian book nerd, and the sister is like a pageant queen who lives her life on social media, doing all that sort of stuff, and she enters into a pageant and has an allergic reaction, and her like face swells up and all this and whatever, so the bookworm sister takes her place in the pageant. Sorry. Everyone just came in to talk, so I don't even know where I was at. And there's like, of course, like romance. It was just like cheesy and not that good. Sorry. It was not that good. I would loosely call this a romance. Like, very loosely call this a romance. So there you have it. 1 down. Okay, here's some thoughts that I have. I have finished this one, and I am giving it a 4. This is not my favorite one of this world. I don't think you can call this a series. So what is it called? I don't know. It's not my favorite, but I did really like it. So what this one is about is there's a woman named Anna, whichever you choose. She has been dating this guy for a long time. She thinks they're gonna get engaged, get married, and then he drops the bomb that he's like, yeah, like let's totally do that, but we've only ever dated each other. Let's go out and explore other people and see if it's really what we want. Make sure. Pulled that card. And she is on the spectrum. What Helen Hoang does, if you don't know, if you haven't read any of these, Helen Hoang is on the spectrum herself. She always writes the characters. There's always a character in her novels that is on the spectrum, but they always start out as they don't know that. It's interesting. I'm sure there's people who don't enjoy that, but it doesn't bother me. But it's usually, you know, they come to find out through the story that they are on the spectrum. Anyway, so she's on the spectrum. She doesn't know it. She's this like great violinist, and she goes onto a dating site and wants to have just a bunch of one-night stands. And of course, as we know, that is not the case. They catch feelings. There's the man in this, Quan, we have seen him in other, like, he's the consistent character. There's always a rollover character who's the main character from like a side character from before. So Quan we've seen before. He has recently, now I can't remember, did he have cancer? I think he had cancer. And like testicular cancer. And so anyways, he has lost one of his testicles, and he's like insecure about that, and so people are trying to get him to get out there, and so he wants to do one night stands to like get his confidence back. Anyways, they meet up. This one is just much slower. There's something that happens where Anna is going through something, and it's what takes up a lot of the story, and for me it was just like I get it. This is where it's hard. I wanted her and Quan's romance. I wanted to see that more. You really don't get to see it that much. And so at first I was like, I think this is only a 3. Like this is kind of not even turning into a romance, until I read the author's note in here. I'm trying to think. I almost want to say, let me just double check. Yeah, I would almost say read the author's note before you read this book. I don't think there's any spoilers that's going to ruin anything for you, but it will help you understand this story. So like the very first line, this book is a work of fiction, but it's also half memoir. To date, it's the most me book I've ever written. That's why it's in first person rather than in third like my other books. The words came out easier when I said I instead of she. But the personal nature of this book made it harrowing to write. It goes on and on. Anyways, I knew Helen had put out on her Instagram, I believe I seen last year, that she was writing this book, and I got so excited. And then she came out on her Instagram a few months later saying that she was really sorry, but she just wasn't in a place to be able to write this right now. And, you know, I was super sad, but I don't think I fully understood the context. Knowing that and knowing how hard this book was to write, how personal this book was, and then reading the author's note afterwards and seeing the slow part and what happens, like, it ripped my heart open and like put this book into such a special place in my heart. I still wouldn't give it a 5. I've given it a 4, like I said. But it's very special. I can't imagine how amazing it feels to be a writer and be able to write something like this and basically like put your heart onto page. And I'm sure it's really hard to be worried about people's reception of it. Is that the word? Man, I'm really like throwing words out that I don't know if I'm using correctly. Anyways, you know, I think it'd be hard in general, but one that's so personal, I think would just be tough. So I give her amazing props for getting this out and doing such a great job at it. Anna is such a lovable character. I loved her and Kwan's relationship. I'm sure lots of people think that Helen's stories are insta-love and whatever, but like, I don't even care. It doesn't even bother me at all. I just love it. The sex scenes, she does great sex scenes, I think. There are some times when I'm like, ooh, why did we say that? Okay. Okay, I'll tell you one of my pet peeves. Explicit warning, I guess, if there's children. Why do writers sometimes when they write sex scenes and they're talking about the downstairs, they call it like my sex? I don't like that. I don't enjoy, or like I felt his sex. I don't like that. And Helen does that sometimes. So, but I mean, that's just a personal preference thing. It's not that big of a deal. So there we have it. Good stuff, good stuff. And to wrap things up, that's 3 books in the week that I was able to finish, that I was in the middle of. Like I predicted, I did not get to Thunderhead. Such is life. I will probably end up having to do like another books I'm in the middle of, because I've also been in the middle of the 5th Harry Potter book for over a year. Has it been 2 years? I think it's only been a year. So, I mean, maybe that's coming soon. Look out for that. One thing, okay, I didn't say with this book. The only thing that really like bugged me, I guess, was, again, I'm going to try not to give spoilers because it's at the end. There is something that happens with a character where they decide to go on this adventure. And you start on this page and they're like, it says, tears threatening to spill down my face, and I swipe at my eyes like sweat is stinging them, and max out. No spoilers. I run and I run and I run until I can't anymore, and then I drag myself home, sleep, eat, and repeat the same cycle on Saturday. Then it says, Sunday morning my body is sore but not sore enough. I need a longer, more grueling run, something that'll push me to my limits and truly clear my mind. Here to here, which is 3 paragraphs, they start watching YouTube videos of the Grand Canyon and the rim to rim to rim run, and they decide in that instant they're gonna do it. So It's literally in 2 paragraphs. They go from going to sleep, waking up, they watch these YouTube videos, they pack everything up, book a plane ticket, and then like that's 1 paragraph. Then when I arrive in Arizona a couple hours later, I go shopping for all the stuff that I'll need, like a hydration pack, lightweight layers of clothes, trail food, an energy pack, sunblock, and lip balm. They list all these things. And then I make the long drive to the Grand Canyon Village, check in my hotel room, and head to bed early. My alarm wakes me up at 2 a.m. and I am at the trailhead by 3. It's still dark out. I know I'm being foolish. I know I should have prepared more, but I don't hesitate before venturing onward. I only want to run, and I am determined to set a new record. It's literally 1 page of them. I wish there was like maybe a little bit more. That was a bit dramatic to me, but it's all good. So back to the wrap up. The first thing, okay, so again, full transparency here. There's going to be some editing things. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but the first thing I finished was The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang, and I gave this 4 stars. Next, well, in the same day, I did Survive the Night by Riley Sager, which I gave 3.5, 3.75, 4 stars on Goodreads. Come for me. Let's have a discussion, shall we? And then we had The Accidental Beauty Queen, which I finished last, and I gave 2 stars, 2.5. Not the best thing. Not a romance. I mean, I guess if you look at, is it classified that way? I don't know. But anyways, I had a good time. And actually, I had a really good time getting to physically read something with no audiobook, nothing. Just physically reading. Having to dedicate real time to sitting down and reading it. I'm going to try thus forward to only physically reading thrillers, because I think I like them so much more that way. You know, unless I hear something about how amazing the audiobook is, if it has like podcast elements or, you know, something like that, that's going to add to the experience. But the pictures I can create in my mind physically reading overall in any book are so much better than when I'm like listening and multitasking and I can't devote that much attention. Take this as my hope to physically reading more, because I'm also actually learning that I am a faster reader than I thought. If I'm into the book and it's just like me not making excuses of like I don't have time, you know? So there we have it. There we go. It's been a great week, and I hope that wherever you are healthy, happy, and loved, and I will see you next time. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. See you later. Bye.